What's going on, everyone? My name is Nicholas Merton here at DataDash, and today is June 23rd of 2021. Well, folks, I hope you are having a fantastic day wherever you are, and in today's video, we've got to dive into the pure bloodbath that we've had over the last week and a half, and the aftermath, more specifically, of that sell-off, as we went all the way from $41,000 here in mid-June down to $28,600 at the low. The lowest price point we've seen since back in January of 2021. So I want to talk about what this means, where we're at in the market, doing a bit of analysis in both Bitcoin and altcoins. And then also we've got a sponsored interview with Da-Heng Fei, the founder of Neo, one of the leading blockchains in the cryptocurrency space, to talk about their new awaited update in 3 that's going to be launching in the near future. So stay tuned. You guys won't want to miss it. Let's go ahead and dive straight into the conversation here, guys. So as we talked about with the drawdown here yesterday, we set a new low point, which was lower, the lowest point here in this case for Bitcoin since back on the 4th of January in 2021. Right? So this was a pretty brutal sell-off. This was pure capitulation. And really, no matter how you analyze it, guys, this was very short-lived. So you could see this generally as a fake out in price or as the tail end final steps of a general Wyckoff accumulation schematic, right? Where we have the lowest price point here right at the end of the accumulation channel, and we start to rebound in price outside of the general accumulation channel as time progresses. But I want to go ahead and be very clear, guys, that putting aside what happened yesterday, the nice thing here that can maybe provide a bit of comfort for you guys with this rebound is that we're at the same price range we were at on June 9th, back here on the 29th of May, back here on the 23rd of May, here on the 21st of May, and the 19th of May. Right? We're not in terrible price territory. This is even considering we're not at the peak for today, right? You know, we're holding up quite nicely. We've held for a good 16 hours here around this price range, around 34,000. Bitcoin's doing okay. It's holding in there. And it seems like we had a lot of buy-side volume coming in here, no matter if you're taking a look at the 4-hour or the hourly chart. We had a lot of volume coming in to basically mirror the capitulation candles here, right? This $4,000 to $5,000 pullback in Bitcoin's price. And recovered quite quickly. And prices are now starting to set in generally higher lows and higher highs. But I don't want to analyze too much on the daily. My job here is to focus on what's going to happen here over the coming weeks and months, because that's the time frame that I think everyone should really realistically be thinking about. You know, the way I would put it is we're going to be conservatively optimistic or optimistically conservative. And what I mean by this is that I think that there's a clear shot here at this being a mid-cycle correction, as we've talked about before. And I do think that we are going to recover back to the previous all-time highs and go higher in this cycle. But we cannot be overtly bullish here and think that it's just going to be a complete vertical rebound here within a matter of a month or a couple weeks. What's much more realistic to happen here is that we continue to test this resistance range here that's been holding down price and plays historic significance back here, because after that we continue the secondary wave for Bitcoin, setting in a pattern of consistent resistance, higher lows, breaking at above there, making that previous resistance support, right, and continuing to slowly move higher here over a multi-month period. Now, you'll notice here, again, I'm kind of drawing this towards sometime in the fall. And to be honest with you guys, it could be a little bit more sooner than that. It also could be longer. I don't really want to say that I know exactly what time frame it's going to take. But as we take a look here to the weekly, what this emphasizes here is we're basically going to have to repeat what we did back here in our secondary wave. And it's probably going to take just as much time, if not longer, to be completely blunt with you guys, right? When we take a look at the logarithmic chart, this kind of gains perspective here, right? This gives us the idea that, you know, we're going to take some time here, as we had back here in 2019, right, where we had a pretty brutal sell-off here due to excessive liquidations in the market, due to excessive leverage trading, loans and credit in the market. It's going to take time to build that bridge back up of higher levels of support and resistance that are going to get us back to those previous all-time highs and give us the room to really start moving higher going into 2020, right? So again, that's an important thing to keep in mind, is the time frames here. The good news is that gives us time, if you are on the impression that this is a mid-cycle correction and you're not convinced that it's a bear market, or you've probably just gotten out of the market at that point, the good news here is that we can start to accumulate more positions and aim for those higher price targets. 100K to 200K Bitcoin, if that's still going to happen sometime in 2022, honestly, this is a great period of time to accumulate, with prices down around 50% where they were before. Not exactly now at the rebound over the last day or so since the lows, but anywhere from a 40-50% correction. That's a pretty good discount on an asset that we're expecting is going to be going into 6-digit territory while it's in 5-digit territory, right? So again, overall, guys, it seems like we had a fake out here on the daily. Prices are back in the general accumulation channel. All is good. And some of the best buy-side volume we've seen in the past couple weeks since late May. Nothing too eccentric yet. I want to see a lot more volume in spot markets, but I think we'll get there. Now, I want to talk a little bit about altcoins, and the first thing I want to talk about that I think a good amount of you probably spotted or are going to be asking about is the altcoin dominance chart. Now, I got to be honest with you guys. This would be a general cause for concern because we have set a new low here, but I got to be candid here. And I've noticed this for a long period of time here, for example, in altcoin dominance, and way back in 2017 during the rally in altcoin dominance. The statistic here seems like it's a bit off. We're getting a bit of weird gaps, and this tends to happen when there are pretty dramatic swings in the market. And it is printing here around the same range, at least at the moment here, but also it tested a lower range here, supposedly from back here in late May. But I gotta say, I'm getting a lot of weird readings here. For example, we've not only had some sudden spikes here and dominance that further get corrected afterwards, but really have to do with drops in the other coins metrics. So I don't know if you guys can see this here. My camera might be in the way. As per usual, so I'll scroll it up. But there's this weird drop here where other coins, it goes from 17% down to 11%. And we're seeing this weird random spike in Bitcoin dominance that really isn't accounting in the market. Bitcoin did not gain that much dominance in that period of time. So I want to wait for the data to normalize because I think we've got another spike here and see what a variety of sources are saying. But overall, if this does really start to materialize and the data smooths out where we actually did set in a lower low, and we are going to continue that trend, then yes, I'll definitely probably work on adjusting my positions, guys, from altcoins to Bitcoin. But I got to say, the rebound here has actually been quite nice. Ethereum holding at the same general resistance range of the past here before it continued its second wave, and also playing it at the previous support range. Again, turning that resistance into support on the dollar chart. ETH to BTC still holding on the line here, right? The line of previous resistance now being turned into support, right? And take a look at the daily chart here so you guys can see this here, right? This general point of the previous highs, which served as resistance, now serving as support, right? I don't know if it's quite time yet to just be absolutely fearful, right? We're still generally where we were back here in May and also here at the beginning of May as well, right? And we're still setting in slightly higher lows here, right? Another one as well, Uni, that we've taken a look at, right? Uni has definitely seen, it's almost to its bloodbath here back in May, right? We can see here that Uni itself, right, which we started building our positions back here around $3 to $4 per Uni token, right? Still holding up here nicely, right? Setting a slightly higher low than what we had back here during the peak capitulation of May. This is great for altcoins to be setting in higher lows versus Bitcoin in this case, which had, again, a lower range that tested all the way back to where it was in January, right? We started setting these higher lows compared to May. And take a look at the Bitcoin chart here, right? This is an important one to watch here. Still, historically speaking, setting higher lows that, again, play important roles in the sense of lining up with previous support and resistance in the past. Price holding up quite nicely here. And overall, the volume profile is signaling that buyers are coming in on this dip, right? This is really interesting to see, guys. And the last thing here, again, just kind of Uni ETH here. What's interesting is that an altcoin like Uni is holding, again, at the same support range against Ethereum, right? Now, I'm not just here to just talk about Uni. I'm using it as a pure example here to talk about the state of the market here. What's interesting is that altcoins right now aren't faring terribly, they're not faring a terrible nature in this case, right? They're not doing that bad. Volume profiles look quite nice, right? And this is just one example. I mean, we could analyze plays, for example, like we do link to ETH, right? We divide link by ETH here, right? And generally speaking, right, around the same exact range that we saw back here in May during the peak capitulation of the sell-off, right? Still holding here on a very long-term historic line of support and resistance in the past, right? Very important midpoint on the ratio. A lot of these coins are really nice discounts, right? We can even see against Bitcoin here, still holding on the line of support here. I'm just using some of these examples, guys, to just kind of preface the idea that we might not be in for any more further major sell-off on the leading altcoins. Sure, there might be some rotations. Sure, some might go down. But overall, I don't see much reason to be absolutely fearful on altcoins at the moment. Right? So we will keep an eye on that dominance metric and a variety of the different sources so we can at least get an accurate measure here if we've really started to set in lower lows here, right? But we'll have to see here over the next day or two before we make any key decisions here. But overall, I gotta say, I think that Bitcoin's going to continue picking up. I don't mean to sound like I'm negative on Bitcoin. I'm very confident that Bitcoin could continue to pick up and retest towards the top of that accumulation channel. We might have a quick rebound like we had back here and over here. And outside of that as well, I think altcoins are going to follow suit and keep up equally, if not better, in this case. I think what this is really going to turn out to be is more of a general kind of coil of price, and we're going to really get a breakout point where either price is going to break up or break down and really start to signify where we are within the trend. So anyways, guys, very, very exciting times here in the market. Again, as I've emphasized before, I think a lot of people like kind of hearing, not only my thoughts in this case if you listen here to the channel, but really if you're here at this point in the video, you're wondering like, Nick, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing in the sense of your positions, right? And I gotta be honest with you guys, again, haven't adjusted anything, right? When it comes to my personal trading portfolio, I'm still sitting still. I still got my positions where they're at, back from where we talked back in May, right? And that's the really cool thing, is that you realize over time in crypto, you don't always have to be doing something. You don't always have to be making the next big trade or getting in and out of the market or FOMO or FUDDing. It's really just about accumulating at specific channels, taking on risk when it's favorable to take on risk. And so far, I'm hanging in there good. No liquidations, no, selling and buying my life savings in crypto, right? I'm just hanging in there and riding the waves. There was this really funny meme I saw the other day. It was so funny. I think it might have been a TikTok or something, but it said crypto investors during the sell-off, and it had a guy who was riding a roller coaster, and he had like a blank expression on every single ride he rode. And that's kind of what crypto is, right? It's a crazy, crazy market, guys. It's still very early on. And with derivatives distorting the market the way that it has, it's going to lead towards these periods of time where we have to pause and have a multi-month period of time to recover, similar to what we did back here from June of 2019 to October of 2020. I think we've got a very similar scenario playing out here, but luckily I don't think it's going to take as long as that did. And we also didn't have a pandemic in the mix to drag prices lower and make the recovery take even longer. That's it for the core part of today's video. Let's go ahead and dive into this interview with Da-Hong Fei. Alrighty, everyone. So in today's sponsored interview, we're sitting down with the founder of NEO, and that is no other than Da-Hong Fei, a longtime friend of ours here on the channel. And outside of that as well, someone I've been keeping up with as far back as 2017, since the early days of the NEO project, back when it was AntShares. I want to say, Da, it's a true privilege to have you here because there's a lot coming up here for the new release on NEO in 3. So I want to go ahead and just first off provide a bit of context here. NEO has been kind of a legacy project in the space alongside projects like Ethereum and the crypto markets. So I want to hear a little bit first just to give people some context, but what is NEO as a blockchain? What's the vision of NEO? And then outside that as well, start to hint a little bit about what you guys are working on with N3.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Nick, for having me. It has been a while, since we talked last time.
Last time.
It's a very good question. Well, what's a NEO? What's the vision of NEO? The vision of NEO is very simple. From the very, very beginning, we decided to build NEO to become the open network for the smart economy. So the smart smart economy will be an economy that's driven by smart contract, by intelligent computer programs written by intellectual people. That's a very simple vision of NEO. And to accomplish the vision, we define our mission. The mission is more tangible. Our mission is to make any asset, whether it's physical or digital asset, to be accessible by any human being or computer programs with minimized trust and permission. So that's the goal of NEO. And as you said, NEO is a legacy project. Actually, we started in 2014, almost at the same time as Ethereum started. So we are quite old, but we're trying to learn new tricks. The architecture, when we designed NEO in 2015, 2016, the architecture is quite legacy. So we need to improve it just like Ethereum did with ETH 2.0. So we completely revamped the whole architecture. We added a bunch of new functionalities. We also modified our on-chain governance model, the economical model. So basically, everything is new. So we said NEO is new again. So N3 will be the third version, the third major version of NEO. The first one was designed in 2014, and we did a rebranding when we started the 2.0 version. And now we are about to launch the mainnet of N3, the 3.0 version. And actually, the current version, the current NEO 2.0 will be called NEO Legacy in the future when the mainnet of N3 was launched.
Awesome. That's amazing. I mean, it's amazing to think about how long you guys have been in the space and you've been working towards this vision of the kind of digital economy where there's digitization of assets, digital identity. There's so many elements that I think of when I think of NEO as a project compared to others. That I know that, since, for example, when you spoke at the NEO DevCon back in 2019 in Seattle, you talked about this vision of building what I think is N3 today. And you always maintain that mindset of pragmatic optimism. It's about, we have a really optimistic vision for the future, but slow and steady progress, getting to that point where you can actually make those impactful changes. On that point of, N3 and that kind of step-by-step vision that you guys have been building up to, Da, I know you guys are really trying to service a major umbrella of potential use cases, obviously serving kind of the hot trends right now of decentralized finance and NFTs or non-fungible tokens. But really, if I have my understanding correctly, you guys are still set on the kind of prime focus of servicing a blockchain protocol for enterprise applications. So would you want to maybe spend some time about, what are you guys aiming to achieve in the sense of use cases for N3 as you take this blockchain to the next level?
Yeah, that's that will open me up a little bit about some future thoughts about NEO. For the very, very beginning, we used the word open network. We didn't say that NEO is a blockchain or NEO is a protocol. It's an open network. What does it mean? It means there will be different instances of NEO. So for example, when we launched NEO N3, the two versions of NEO will be coexisting for a period of time. So there will be NEO Legacy and NEO N3. And it makes us to think, why don't we have more version or more flavors of NEO to cater different applications? For example, in many countries, in many nations, the regulation is quite different from other countries. Like in China, we have a very quite strict management over the content that flow over internet, and it also applies to blockchain. So why don't we have a different version of NEO that is specifically designed for the regulatory environment in China? So it is possible that in the future, NEO will not be just one blockchain. It will be many interconnected blockchains with different governance model, maybe even different economic models that are connected together and can talk to each other.
That's very cool.
Yeah, I mean, there can be a mainland China focused NEO. There will be a enterprise, maybe a Western enterprise focused NEO. There will be a community focused NEO. I think that's very possible.
And just so I understand maybe the architectural concepts, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, Da, but it sounds like what you have is kind of this idea of this concept of parent and child chains, where you basically have the core like NEO blockchain that would be able to separate out and have a variety of child chains that are interconnected, can communicate with one another, can do business with one another, etc.
Yeah, the model you're talking about is more like Polkadot, but actually our vision or our philosophy will be different. We don't want to build a hub to host all the child blockchains. We'd rather to join a interoperable protocol, so every blockchains are equal. So they don't rely on the security provided by the parent blockchains. Because fundamentally, the security, the governance model of the core of the hub will influence all the child blockchains. So that's not what we are looking for. We'd rather for different blockchains to be more independent, but they can talk to each other. They can be connected to each other, like internet did.
Got it. Very cool, though. No, so on that point, I know we've talked a good amount about that architecture. What are, like, if you could maybe just to give people some idea of what you guys hope will be built on NEO. I understand you said we could be building pretty much anything. Anyone could create their own kind of sub blockchain throughout the NEO framework. I'm curious, Da, like, what are some of the use cases that have you excited? I mean, you've been working on this behind the scenes with the team for a long period of time. I'm curious, like, if you had your way, or maybe, for example, your envisionment of where N3 will be in the next year or two, what are you excited about being built on top of N3?
I definitely is a big believer of DeFi. I think DeFi will change everything. Will change the whole will change the whole financial industry. But the problem is financial activities are highly regulated in many countries. So we need to work out, like our philosophy is pragmatic idealism. To be pragmatic, we need to work out a solution or find a middle ground that can meet the requirement of regulators, but also fulfill the potential of decentralized finance applications. So that's why we need different, you can say, zone or different country-specific blockchains. That's why the new design came to my mind.
Got it. That's very cool.
It will be difficult to do DeFi in China, targeting ordinary people, ordinary users. But if we are talking about the Chinese market, I think NFT is a very good scenario. It's not financial activities. It's more like consuming activities. People are paying for what they like. They want to collect.
Absolutely. I was going to say on that point, Da, like, as much as I love DeFi, for me, I'm right there with you with that. I think it's the biggest use case in crypto. And there's so many applications that, especially on a higher throughput update like N3, that people would be able to build some phenomenal applications. But it really does depend. In China, for example, it's not only that there's a different regulatory environment, but culturally there's bigger concerns and interests in this case when it comes to DeFi, like with peer-to-peer lending, et cetera. So I would say that, again, you're going to have it flourish in different jurisdictions. And then what I think is so cool is that you guys aren't kind of pigeonholing to one specific use case or focus point. You're providing the framework for any ecosystem or geographical region of the world, any community, to build value on top of N3, which is really exciting.
Thanks.
Yeah. No, I think I get the vision in this case of wanting to have it kind of fractionalized in this case, but also still allow for it to have open communication. The one thing I wanted to ask, though, is...
There's one point I want to add. It will be difficult to launch a public or launch a open blockchain, permissionless blockchain in regulatory in jurisdictions like China before NFT existence. Because all the applications on public blockchains are ICO, DeFi, or trading of the native token of the platform, like ETH or other tokens, which are prohibited in China. So it will be difficult if you want to launch a public blockchain or open network in China and not doing this, not to conflict with the law. But with the emergence of NFT, the situation just changed. Yeah, you can do NFT issuance, trading, or games on public blockchains in China.
That's incredible. I mean, that's going to be a massive market. I think if people find a way and stuff to be able to get exposure to new and exciting things, and I think in China, if that's the option people have, knowing just how much you could build with NFTs there, I mean, that's going to be a massive
young
market.
Young people in China are particularly interested in urban areas, particularly interested in pop art. The collectibles like Bear Brick, like Quartz, they're very popular in China in bigger cities.
Absolutely.
So I have no reason not to. I think young people will also like digital arts, digital collectibles.
Yeah, it's definitely picking up for sure. I mean, the amount of people I've had here in the States as I've been visiting, talking about it, who had never heard about crypto before just a couple months ago. It's incredible to see the adoption of NFTs. One thing I wanted to ask you, is that you guys are launching this new update N3. It's been very long awaited, and I know that you guys want to come out with a bang. So I know that there's this hackathon coming up for the launch of N3, which is going to be a kind of early adopter program that's going to help to spawn and support a lot of great new projects. So if you want to spend some time to talk about that, if people may be interested, they might have a concept they want to build or might know a project that might want to build there. Can we get some details on that?
Yeah, the hackathon is called New Frontier, and we had over $100,000 in prize. And we will use this to reward projects are in DeFi, in NFT, and other areas, using N3 as a framework, as a platform to develop their projects. And if you want to find more, just check it out on neo.org. There are a lot of details there.
And another thing as well, Da, that we have to talk about today in regards to N3 is the early adoption program that you guys are going to be launching through NEO. So I'm curious to hear a little bit more about what the early adopters program is, and outside that as well, what's the key intentions of it with the launch of N3?
Yeah, the first event or the warm-up of the early adoption program is the hackathon, the New Frontier hackathon. But the whole program will have the whole early adopter program will have $10 million as a incentive for people to move on to the new N3 blockchain. And we will be working closely with exchanges to make sure that the whole experience is streamlined, and also we will make sure that users will get rewarded a little bit for doing so, for doing to migration as early as possible. And also we will have allowance or grants to developers to migrate their programs on Neo Legacy to Neo 3. And also, if you are a new developer, if you've been developing for other blockchains like Ethereum, like the Binance Smart Chain, you are also welcome to do a version or do a different project on Neo. And we also will have grants for you to do that.
That's awesome, Da. So basically, you guys are building, you have this major monetary incentive for people to make the shift and help build out the Neo ecosystem. They could rebuild existing applications that they might have found success on Ethereum or another public blockchain, or they can build something entirely new with all the new dev tools that you guys are providing for people to actually onboard onto the new blockchain.
Yes, exactly. You can showcase the ability of Neo FS, Neo Oracle, or Neo ID.
Very exciting stuff, Da.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, we have a big budget, $10 million. I hope you will foster the whole ecosystem of N3.
Awesome. That's very cool, Da. I'm excited because I think the one thing that I'm curious to ask about, and this is actually, not only with the migration from the existing Neo blockchain, but also from existing blockchains. One thing that I always learned when I would talk with John Devidas from Neo in Seattle, is he always mentioned this point of providing the developer tools and the resources to build on top of Neo. And you guys have always obviously had more language flexibility, which is one great start. But outside of that as well, as we kind of talked about having the tools to do it, is N3 going to be deploying with a suite of developer tools that's going to help people to kind of migrate from existing chains, build applications within Neo from scratch in a much more easier way? I'm just curious because it seems like you guys have really had this big emphasis on developers.
Yes. You just mentioned migration tools. Yeah. Because Neo has its own different smart contract system. The language is different. The whole authorization process is different. So it will be difficult to have a turnkey solution to just transfer your to translate your Solidity to Neo smart contract. But we're experimenting some ideas. In Seattle, there are engineers are building a tool to easier the life of Ethereum developers, because there are so many developers of Solidity, and we want to save their time to migrate to Neo.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the one thing, is that you can bring in other engineers and stuff from the language framework that Neo supports, but it's great if you can have that migration from existing chains, because you've got people who also have the economics understanding, the game theory principles, all the things that go into building those same DeFi protocols, which it's a whirlwind challenge to build a successful DeFi app and make sure that it considers everything. So I gotta say, this is really exciting stuff. I mean, you guys have been working very hard on this behind the scenes, and I'm genuinely excited to see when it comes live. So is there any other kind of additional details that people should know about? Maybe a place that people can go to learn more about the upcoming launch of N3?
Yeah. A few points I want to add is there are many new functionalities of N3. We will have a built-in Oracle, so the smart contract can visit any or can access to any URL, internet addresses within the smart contract. So with this new functionalities, it basically connects the legacy internet with the blockchain internet. That's one thing, one new functionality. And second is Neo FS. Smart contract will have the ability to store bigger data using blockchain, using the Neo FS module. and we already had new ID. So this new ID, Oracle and new FS will be the new functionality with N3. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also we are also working with a group, researchers to optimize the on-chain Oracle model from the layer one perspective, because Oracle is a crucial feature of DeFi. So you need a very stable Oracle to do that. If Oracle projects are treated equally as other DeFis, then there can be problems. People can use DDoS attack or other ways to delay or to overflow your Oracle DeFi projects. So we want to make a solution from the layer one level. Yeah, that's what we're currently doing.
I completely agree with that. The thing, it can't be. I guess you can't understate it anymore. Like, it's basically that Oracle's, at the end of the day, the price feeds that they're providing to practically, you take Chainlink, for example, in the Ethereum ecosystem. If something goes wrong, or there's enough incentive in this case, I mean, there can be billions of dollars at stake in digital assets. So I completely agree with that point of actually making sure that you prioritize oracles and boost security of oracles. And then outside of that as well, having the other elements of the real world, digital identity, being able to have digital file sharing. I think that's really exciting. You guys have covered each component and corner that would be needed to build wide scale, adoptable DeFi applications.
Yeah, the philosophy behind this is the same, pragmatic idealism. We want to be pragmatic. There are different transactions on current blockchains. Transactions compete for the bandwidth for every blockchain. But we believe there are some transactions are more important, are more crucial to the blockchain itself. So we want to have a priority lane. So those crucial functionalities, crucial projects can have a priority lane, a priority slot to process their transactions, and that's mimicking the real life situations.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you make room for ambulance.
Yes. An ambulance versus me going to pick up some groceries. There's different priorities.
Yes.
Well, Don, this has been.
But inevitably, it will involve a certain level of centralization or delegation of the power. So, who decides which projects are more important than other projects? Then we will introduce a bit of centralization or delegation. But we believe that's a balance to choose from. So that also makes NEO different from other blockchains.
Very cool. This is nice. I'm excited to learn more about it and stuff as time progresses. And I guess what I'll do is I can basically leave a link down below in the description, guys, for all of you who want to look more into N3 and the new release coming up for NEO. We'll have that link down below, as well as any other good additional resources to get started on things. But Dom, I mean, this is really exciting stuff. I mean, this is the kind of materialization of a couple of years of hard work that you guys have really been putting into this. And it's so nice to know that it's going to finally, hopefully, materialize this year. So we're very, very excited to see what you guys can achieve. And we'll be continuing to follow what you guys are doing with N3 as time progresses.
Thank you, Nick. Let's wait for another month.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'm very excited to see when it finally comes out. So we'll be keeping on the edge of our seats. And thank you guys for tuning in, as always, for today's video. If you liked it, drop a like. Definitely check out the link down below in the description to learn more about what Don and the team have been working on so diligently over the past couple of years, and learn more about N3. So we'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, everyone.
See you guys. Thank you, Nick.